No, I think quickly, I just want to say yesterday, the Socialist Party, we had a live stream as well with Dr. Kumar. And I
Mm-hmm.
think a very important thing that was said was right now our curve is flattening essentially. So every day there are people who are getting infected, but the number is not increasing essentially. But the
Wait,
MCO period is going to be lifted in a bit more than a week. If those numbers of new infections don't go down, and if we lift the MCO, there's a high chance that the number of new infected people will go up because more people are going to come into contact with
Yeah,
each
yeah,
other.
mm.
So at
yeah.
this time, I think the most important thing is we need to really increase testing, and if the government does not have resources for that, I think it's the time for private sector to really come in and take over this. If payment is an issue, I think the government should release some funds towards the private sector so that people can go there and get tested really quickly. Because if we don't do that, it's very difficult in the future because they're going to get even more expensive.
No, wait.
But private,
Why are you saying the private should take over again? What was your reasoning?
not say take over, they should come and help to do more testing essentially. But testing in private sector is what 300, 400, 700 ringgit, you
Yeah.
know. So to the private hospitals, please, please, now is not the time to make your money. You know, try to help out with the government hospitals who are trying to run testing. And to the government, if the private hospitals need some money, please release these funds lah. Because there's 1.5 billion more that has been given to the healthcare system. I think some of that funds can go towards testing. If we test more people, quarantine more people who are infected, the number of new quarantines can go down. That's what I have to say.
Well, just a brief question to what you have said about the curve flattening, right? Does this take into account those people who are asymptomatic? I think these groups of people who are asymptomatic are the tricky ones, right?
Yeah.
So what if MCO is lifted and then
Not
a group
only
of people who
asymptomatic people, but people who may not necessarily know that they have had direct contact with a COVID-19 patient. You know,
Yeah.
because I think I've saw someone's post that they were having fever and whatnot. When they came back, they wanted to go for testing in a public hospital, but they didn't allow him to. So he had to go to a private hospital and pay for his own tests, and turns out he was positive, which I think, it's a tricky situation
No,
because, yeah,
It
it's
is.
a resource issue lah. At
yeah,
the
it's
end
a
of the
resource
day,
issue.
you only have so much reagents, you only have so much testing kits, in the public sector. If you allow or everyone to come and be tested, everyone will become and tested, but your resources will run out. So that's why I'm saying, where there are resources, private sector really needs to come and help at this point lah, basically. If China can give us free medical test kits, you're Malaysian, come on, people are dying.
But they say the Chinese test kit, right, is a bit defective, right, something like that. The ones to
No lah,
send
that's
to
Western
Italy. Right?
propaganda lah. That's basically.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I've been reading like fake news or whatnot.
Not the fake news
But-
lah. It's all you have to read between the lines essentially.
Well, South Korea has donated a few test kits to Malaysia as well, and I think our ministry has tried that out, and only to find that it is not as accurate as it should be. So I think we are sourcing for other
but
test kits
that's
from
what I
other
heard
countries.
from about the Chinese test kit as well. That's what Europe is
yes.
saying lah. So
Yep.
Assuming this is correct, then who has the correct test kits? Come out and help us essentially.
well, I think
Now, instead of saying that,
it's not a matter of like whether you have correct test kits, but whether to distribute those test kits. Sometimes the test kits have to be of like it would be much easier to distribute them if they only focus the test on like let's say on your antibodies and to see the level of antibodies in your body, right? So maybe they focus on producing those kind of test kits. But the very fact is that in order to really determine whether you have coronavirus or not, you may need to go for further testing, which those test kits don't provide. So maybe that's why some of these test kits are not so effective, but I don't know.
Perhaps,
It's not like I don't know. I'm not like Director General of Malaysia. I think they are speaking to the experts and I think that they know. I guess
Exactly,
they're
yeah,
doing
yeah.
the best that they could at the moment. So
I think the main point is still, we know that some people have resources. The access to those resources might not be available to many people due to financial constraints. So let's solve this problem so that we can quickly lift the MCO period because our economy is going down as well, and we can quickly lift it without getting more people infected.
Yeah.
Yep.
So someone quickly say something.
Okay, well, what I have one question to ask. What do you think about the recent efforts of local authorities to sanitizing public areas? Do you think that's effective? I think
Public
on
areas or
yeah, a lot of people have criticized the actions of DBCare in sanitizing uh, high-rise buildings using drones to do them. They think that it is a public waste of funds. Do you think that is a good effort nonetheless? What are your views?
yeah, I think it's a pub.
If you can,
Sorry, Arveen, you go first.
Mm.
Yeah.
if you can test it, then if it's fine, and you can what do you call that? Write a paper on it. Get WHO to say this is the correct way to do it. Go ahead and do it. But don't just look for photo ops lah. Don't just look for photo opportunities, publicity stunts. Now is not the time. People are dying. Don't take advantage of the situation.
Yeah, who are taking these pictures then? Like who are taking these pictures?
No, the
Journalists?
Journalists?
politicians.
Must be somebody
Uh,
that's taking those pictures, right? Like it's weird, right? I mean, if you're just doing that,
It is.
there's
I actually find
something
it quite
about-
hilarious. I think I saw pictures floating here and there on social media about our local government minister going to the ground and helping to sanitize public areas. But and somebody took a
Yeah.
photo of the situation. There was actually like a bunch of journalists standing in front of the minister while she gives a speech with no social distancing at all. So I find that that's pretty
All of
hilarious.
this is photo op. Publicity stunt. At this time, when people are dying, have some dignity lah. Come on, please.
Hey, priorities lah, Arveen. Politics first, like remember. Wise
It's
words
penting
from
lah.
our top leader, supreme leader.
Supreme leader, basically.
Supreme leader.
No,
yeah.
again, similar to how Trump is, selling the idea of the coronavirus being the Chinese virus, even naming it the Chinese virus instead of the coronavirus. We have politicians in Malaysia who are taking advantage of the situation. Now is not the time. We have a private sector that is taking advantage of the situation. Now is not the time. When people are dying, please chip in to help. The life is much more important than votes or money at this point. And if you can't see that, then Malaysians, we have a decision to make in a few years.
Yeah, I can't believe people are asking the question as to whether life or economics. Like I think that shouldn't even be a question. It should never have to ask the question. I think you should know the answer already, right? When it comes to
Exactly.
life or economics. I mean, maybe those two things are not like mutually exclusive, in the sense that they coexist with one another.
I think the most tragic thing would be we prioritize economics too much, only to find that after the MCO period is over, nobody is alive to enjoy those economic benefits.
Or nobody is alive to even
Yeah.
keep the economy going. Basically.
Exactly.
Once it collapses,
So-
what are you gonna do?
My advice to all the rich people that's listening to this, like once this MCO period is over, my advice is to just spend. Just buy anything like pisang goreng, everything, nasi lemak, all support businesses. Don't stop spending.
So
Supporting
my
overspending,
thing,
Shay?
yeah. My thing is like if you're rich,
Oh no, I might
You're
have triggered
teaching.
Arveen, supporting capitalism
no.
and all that shit.
I'll be
but-
nice. I'll be nice.
Yeah?
I'll be
Okay.
nice. I'll be nice.
Alright.
After the MCO period, yes, spend like you've never spent before. Then is not the time to keep your money. But now, stop making fun of poor people, and stop saying that. Stop making it seem like they're not contributing towards your businesses. I've been seeing like Instagram posts from like Dato Vivi and her ilk. Saying like, oh, now you're back home, you still have to work. Don't make me take over your job, and then you'll be out of a job. You made money on the backs of your workers. have some dignity. People are dying. This is a difficult situation for everyone. At least you have a house and have money in the bank to take care of yourself. What do poor people have? They have, like, just be more empathetic, lah.
They
Your
they have
personal problems don't compare. Don't compare the people who have no food or water. Please.
yeah, that's why.
But I do think that there are two parts to what she stated in her post. I think one is about SMEs not being given help, enough help by the government, and second, I think the other
Yeah.
part was the one that a lot of
Mm.
people disagree with,
Yeah.
which is poor people getting richer after MCO because they got
No,
handouts
that
from
was the first part. I think she was in support
That
of the
was
second
the
part.
first part.
But when she
Oh,
The
commented
second
that
part
she
was
was
SME.
no, first part was SME, is it? But whatever, like they thought that she
SME,
was in
SME,
support
yeah.
of talking shit about poor people when actually she was in support of supporting SMEs and all that. So that's why she explained and she cried, right? Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that explanation. I mean, that was what I got out of it. I mean, if you talk about SME concerns facing, I mean, stuff that SMEs are concerned about, I think that's valid. But to actually go as low as saying that poor people would are enriching themselves over this period of MCO and will become rich people after the MCO period, I think that's a bit silly and a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, lah, I mean,
Quite
think
ignorant, actually.
Very ignorant. The thing is, these are the same rich people who would say, oh, to the poor people, oh, if you are so poor, why don't you, like, just, like, spend more, like, save more money, live within your means, blah blah blah. They're the same people who would, take vacations to the Maldives, or, like, spend exorbitant amount of prices on scarves to, like, cover their heads. Again, it's time now for you to reflect. Maybe you should have saved the money so that in times of crisis like this, you can take care of your business instead of trying to ask for the government's help. That's all I'm saying. Now you know why taxes are used. Sorry.
mm-hmm. Yep.
I have no love for rich people. I'm sorry. Absolutely no love for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on how they communicate the message, like, right? Maybe, like, if they were trying to say that the help that was being given by the government is just merely a short-term one, meaning that they may be enriched for a short period of time, but in the long term, when the SMEs or businesses that hire them suffer and are able to hire more people, then it will affect the poor. See, they should have said that, like, they would have made more sense.
Yeah. Messaging, PR. You have money for that, don't you, Vivi?
Yeah, right. What is she anyway? She's a celebrity, is it? Or?
She's an entrepreneur. I
Entrepreneur,
think she's
yeah.
an entrepreneur. Yeah.
He's an entrepreneur, yeah.
Mm. Okay, so how
He
long?
sells like 300 hip scarves and 80 ringgit staples. That's what he sells.
Right. Is there anything else?
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we should. How long have we been talking? I think we should.
How long have we been
We
talking?
could wrap up
40 odd minutes.
unless we get the
Mm,
question
wrap up
from
lah.
the audience.
Okay, does anyone have Ian, you have any question? Take your time. Maybe the UK internet might be slower. Are you in the UK? I don't know. Yeah, UKC,
Don't have,
Shadow Council election. You should spy on it and comment, like, talk nonsense. Alright, is there anything else? If there's nothing else, then I guess. Yeah.
No, I think we can wrap up. Lah.
Alright, yeah, follow us on Liberasi. Anyone wants to name drop anything? Yeah, this is your time.
Dope. We have a Facebook page. Liberasi has a Facebook page. Liberasi has a Twitter. Liberasi has an Instagram. We have a YouTube now with very cool videos coming out soon and podcasts. So follow us on all of that for more updates. For Facebook page, we are almost at the 600 likes mark. So please, just get a bit more to cross that threshold. And yeah, looking forward to giving you more quality content.
Alright.